If you've been learning AWS, collecting services, watching tutorials, building projects, and still wondering why recruiters are not responding, this video is for you. Because the truth is, most people are working very hard, but on the wrong AWS skills. And it's not your fault. The internet talks a lot about AWS services, certifications, and tools. But recruiters, they care about something very different. Today, I want to break down the AWS skills recruiters actually care about and why it's probably not what you think. Let's start with the common belief. Most beginners think recruiters are impressed by knowing a ton of AWS services, listing EC2, S3, RDs, and Lambda everywhere, having multiple certifications, or building super complex architectures. So what do people do? They rush to memorize services, overbuild their projects, and chase certificates way too early. But here's the truth. Recruiters expect you to know basic AWS services. That doesn't make you stand out. It just means you've started learning. So what are recruiters actually screening for? They aren't just asking if you know AWS. They're silently asking three much deeper questions. Can this person understand problems? Can they reason through solutions? And can they work safely in a real-world environment? AWS is just the tool. Your thinking is what they're really evaluating. The first skill recruiters truly care about is understanding fundamentals deeply, not just knowing tools. This includes what compute actually means, how networking works at a basic level, why security exists, and how data flows through a system. Someone who understands why a load balancer exists, what happens when an instance fails, or how permissions can break access is way more valuable than someone who can just list 30 services by name. Depth beats breadth every single time. This next one is huge. Recruiters love people who can explain their decisions clearly. Why did you choose a specific service? Why didn't you choose another one? What were the trade-offs you considered? You don't need to have perfect answers. You just need clear reasoning. Even saying something like, "I chose this because it was simpler and more cost-effective for a small system," is incredibly powerful. It shows you think. You don't just memorize. Most beginners completely ignore cost. Recruiters don't. You don't need to be a cost optimization expert, but you absolutely should be aware that some services keep charging you money, that resources need to be cleaned up, and that your technical choices directly affect the company's bill. When a recruiter sees cost awareness on your resume or hears it in an interview, they see responsibility. That matters a lot in real teams. Next up is security awareness. And no, I don't mean perfection. Recruiters are not expecting you to be a security expert. They're just looking for basic awareness. Things like the principle of least privilege, not exposing everything to the public internet, knowing that IAM is powerful and can break accounts, and understanding why security groups are important. Even saying, "I kept this simple for the project, but I understand the security risks and what I'd do in production," shows maturity. Real cloud work involves things breaking. It's inevitable. So recruiters really care if you've noticed something failed, tried to understand why it failed, and then either fixed it or learned a valuable lesson from it. Perfect projects that never had a single issue actually feel a bit fake. Projects with battle scars and lessons learned, those feel real. Finally, a skill that's so often ignored: communication. Can you explain what you built in simple language? Can you write a clear README file for your project on GitHub? Can you describe your thinking process without drowning someone in technical jargon? Recruiters don't live in the AWS console all day. They work with people. Your ability to communicate clearly matters more than most people think. So let's clear this up. Recruiters care a lot less than you think about how many services you know, how complex your architecture is, or fancy diagrams that have no explanation. Even certificates, without the context of real projects to back them up, don't hold as much weight. These things can help, but they absolutely do not replace your ability to think critically. So, if you're learning AWS right now, here's what you should focus on instead. First, truly understand the core concepts. Second, practice explaining your decisions. Third, build small but thoughtful projects. Fourth, write about them clearly. And finally, show awareness of cost and security, not perfection. One solid, well-explained project will always beat 5 rushed ones. The AWS skills recruiters actually care about are not flashy. They're practical, they're calm, and they're human. AWS is just the platform. Your ability to think, to explain, and to learn is what makes recruiters trust you. And once you truly understand that, your entire learning path changes for the better. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.